Orale! Welcome back to Race Talk Show. You're a super talented, service-oriented person looking to find wealth in your voice. Well, you have found the Big Brother Ray community. We are here for you. Thank you so much for joining us. This is your virtual Big Brother Ray Collazo. For those on the Blab, thank you so much for joining Race Talk Show Live. And of course, those listening to the podcast, we were birthed in the podcast community, and we super appreciate our podcast listeners. Again, thank you so much for downloading the show. But let me tell you something. You got to check out this whole live video streaming service on Blab. This takes to a whole other level every Tuesday and Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, like our dear guest today. On Get Down with the Blab now, y'all. This episode is going to change many lives. And our guest is a speaker and youth engagement expert and the vice president of Cool Speak. You're going to learn a lot about the amazing work that company does servicing our youth and our community. And one of my dear Mexican brothers,
That's
Ernesto
right.
Mejia. Welcome to Race Talk Show, brother.
Thank you, brother. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you today, man.
And let me tell you, we are doubly blessed because this young man we met on the Blab recently, and he was very interested in getting to know about Ernesto's work and learn more about the power of motivational speaking. He's a young, aspiring. Actually, he's already doing his damn thing, as they say. Fellow motivational speaker and Blab star Morgan Ingram. Morgan, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Blessed to be here, and I'm excited to learn more and just to really engage in this. So thank you guys for having me.
And Morgan's taking it Mr. International already, man. He's about to go over the pond.
I'm telling you.
Prayers are going up.
Let me tell you, for those listening as a podcast, y'all are missing it because Ernesto came equipped with the LL Smooth bald head he shaved up. And the muscle shirt, I tell you, a lot going on here. Las Madrinas, all kind of friends joining us here today. So Ernesto Mejia, you're the vice president of Cool Speak. Please, in a moment, I'll ask you to share more about that incredible company servicing our community and young people. You're a father, motivational speaker, youth engagement expert, parent engagement expert. Right. But this journey didn't begin for you as an education expert. So Ernesto Mejia, where did this journey begin for you?
Well, the servant leadership journey, I guess, really began at home because my mom, bottom line, we learn what we do at home. And I think it was just refreshed to me. And I was just given a reminder recently as I just came back home from seeing my mom back home in Zacatecas in Mexico. And I got some construction going on at home, and the construction workers break for lunch, and my mom warms them up their lunch. My mom will make somebody lunch if they don't have some. My mom send me to buy them something to drink. And these guys are just like, what's going on here? Like, why are you guys taking such good care of us? We're just the construction workers. But that's the way my mom's always been. So that's really how it started for me. And from there, I ended up moving back to Michigan. And while working at the University of Michigan, a good mentor of mine asked me if I would mentor some students because they didn't have any Latinos to mentor the Latino students in the area, which, in that area, there were very few. And so I did. And I ended up mentoring a young man from Honduras. And it was the first time that I got a true vibe, a true feel for how this worked and helping others and the feeling that it gives you and the joy that it gives you to be able to help somebody else along their way, along their journey. And Oscar is that young man's name. He had a couple open heart surgeries, came from a split household. And sometimes you don't know the seeds that you're planting and what's going to happen. And he was struggling to get through high school. And years later, we connected. And he said, hey, I just wanted to let you know that you made an impact, because he was barely getting through high school. And when he got back to me, he was graduating from the University of Indiana. So it's always a good feeling and a good vibe. So that's kind of where it started. From working in diversity initiatives at Michigan, I became a college dean of students here in Chicago. And that really then pulled my heartstrings to help the youth out and to help our students do well. One of the beautiful young ladies that I helped out, Loops, is actually joining us today. And it makes me feel good to see them succeed, to see them as graduates, to see them as young professionals, and to see the majority of them, oddly enough, falling in the same career path, trying to help students, trying to help others. And that really warms my heart. And from there, I moved on to Educational Achievement Services with one of our wonderful friends. And if you ask me, probably the best motivational speaker on planet Earth, retired Lieutenant Colonel Consuelo Castillo Kickbush.
Absolutely.
If you've ever seen her, you had to be looking down a little bit because she's a whole whopping like 5 foot.
Yeah.
However,
with the army boots, you know.
Oh yeah, he is
Brought the heat,
best. Yeah. Oh, she will every single time. She will make sure those allergies act up, and she makes your eyes sweat every time you see her. And she really brings it. But the thing that she brings to the table is what I try to, which is speaking from the heart and speaking your truth, trying to help others find their way, along their journey. So it's kind of in a nutshell what it is and how I got here.
It's Ernesto. It's so touching. You talk about your mother. I was with my mother yesterday, and we've shared many conversations about the similarities of those two women who first of all had so much courage. In your case, your mother immigrating to this country. In my case, my mother migrating, but still dealing with issues as a language minority and coming from the hills of Puerto Rico. And I remember going to my grandmother's house in the 80s and they had an outhouse. I mean, we're not talking like I'm 40. And yeah, it's pretty wild, but thinking about it, but no phones. It's great. It's like 84. But, I was with her yesterday and, it really reminded me why I do this work. And I do it to honor people like her, people like your mother, and I think about like Rudy Lopez's mother and all of our dear friends and the people that mentored. So such a big sentiment. And so talk a little bit more about that journey because it, I was looking at your bio stuff and, you're your homies like you and you forget about everything. I mean, tell people about that journey for your parents coming to this country and some of the things that you all had to overcome. Yeah.
So started with my dad, as most, I'll speak in, again, my particular case, Mexican immigrant families, just ventured out as a teen to try to make a better life for himself and his family. Was out here for a while and eventually went back for my mom and ended up in Michigan. And you're talking about a guy with a 3rd grade education, which to me, it breaks my heart when you have to keep on saying that story, because for a lot of our communities, that's how our stories start. Oh yeah, well, my mom had a 6th grade education, which literally mine did at that point. My dad had a 3rd grade education, and part of my journey is to change that. So to say, well, yeah, both of my parents graduated from college, actually. That's what I want the new story, the new scripts to be. Mm-hmm. And my dad came back to Michigan and with my mom and ended up landing a job at Ford Motor Company. How a guy with limited English, no education, lands a stellar job like that back in the days when, you landed a job at one of those companies and you were set for life. And that's pretty much what happened for my dad. For my mom, limited English to say the least, and somehow she landed a job with Ford. She was a janitor of my elementary school. She worked at Big Boy in the restaurant business. There's a reason I always go above and beyond to show respect and appreciation for those folks, the janitor, the housekeeper, the chefs, the servers at the restaurant, because my mom did that. I know what it's like. And I actually did it for a while in college too. The janitor position, the catering position, the bartending position, the server.
Well, they paid the most because nobody else wanted to do it.
Absolutely.
Those are the minority student jobs, cafeteria and stuff.
Heck yeah. And my parents were just always grinders. I mean, I'm still part of that generation where you got up early on Saturday morning to watch a few cartoons. Well, I had to get up earlier than I did for school on Saturdays to watch a cartoon before my dad took me outside all day, raking, mowing the lawn, sweeping. If my dad were around today and saw these blowers, he'd be like, no, that's not how it's done. You got to sweep this because you blow it, somebody's still got to clean it up. So you're going to sweep it. You're going to put it where it needs to go. And that's where my work ethic came from my parents, no doubt. And because of them, I'm able to do what I want. And, a lot of the times when I speak about, I am my parents' American dream, but, somebody else had to sacrifice for us to get here. And somebody had to be the first to come here, the first to get a good job, the first to graduate high school, the first to graduate college, so on and so forth. And I really try to be that example for my own kids based on what my parents were able to do for me, because one of the things that I've been saying recently to students is I don't want you to drive by the field and see all those field workers, and especially if you're a parent, and say, you better study because I don't want you to end up like them. Because in reality, you better study and you better hope you can be half as good as they are. They get up at the crack of dawn. They work under the worst conditions. They show up for work every day. They stretch that dollar to make it seem like they're making $20,000. They make sure that everybody in this country eats. That's the type of work ethic that you want your child to have. That's the type of initiative and drive you want your child to have. Now, you don't necessarily want them to have to literally kill themselves day and night bent over to do their jobs, but you want them to have that, and you don't want to criticize that. And my parents were able to teach me that. And my dad was very good about taking me to pick apples, to pick strawberries, beans, corn, all that stuff. And he said, you can hit the books or you can hit the fields. And I was like, well, let me try to open this book up just one more time because that's where I need to be. Because that'll quickly make you change your mind, man. It'll make you think twice. Heck yeah. And when I was younger, we actually moved back to Mexico. And I was like, all right, well, this is what my parents want. It's where they're from. So, okay. And it was rough, man, because my dad put me through the ringer, which was like it was a walk in the park compared to what he had to come up through and do. And it really prepared me. I lived with my grandma for a year with no running water and no electricity, none of that stuff. And when people say that nowadays, they say it kiddingly. I'm like, no, I actually lived in those conditions. And you know what? Yeah. I survived. Power goes out, you just open up the blinds and, light a candle or something like that, and you just move on. But right. People freak out. We're mad connected with technology, and it makes it tough to, let go for a little bit. But all of those things really brought me to where I'm at now at CoolSpeak with my great partner, Carlos Ojeda Jr., who had the vision to start the company. But it's why I love to work with our parents, though, because I see my mom and dad in all those audiences. And when you're able to reach them and talk to them in their own language, it's just a double bonus because they don't get that all the time. I know my mom and dad never got that. They never went to a PTA meeting or a parent-teacher conference where they were able to be spoken to in their native tongue and made feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. So I go above and beyond to make sure I can try to do that whenever I can.
Morgan, I know that one of the things that I'm sure is really apparent to you in this conversation is how in every moment that Ernesto speaks, he's got his background right here, and it's such a strong part of what it is. So I don't know if you have any questions related to how he incorporates and sort of lives his story in the public speaking and training that he does.
Definitely. I'm more of a statement and then follow up with a question. I love how you do talk from passion. I think one of the main things I've learned in just speaking and just listening to myself and listening to other speakers, it really comes from the heart and what you've gone through. I'm not going to talk about things I've never gone through before because I've never gone through them. You're not going to feel the passion. It's going to be really fake. And so, what I've learned is that, I speak from experiences on what I've experienced and like, hey, look, this is what happened. This is what I came through it. Here are lessons you can take from it and how to really improve upon yourself. And so I think that's something that is really impactful. So my question to you is, when you listen to speakers and you don't hear them from a personal story, do you try to say like, hey, this is how you really do it? Or can you really teach that passion that really makes that, that great speaker?
Well, it's going to vary and it depends on your audiences. Mm-hmm. I was just talking to a few of my friends today who work in higher ed and they're PhDs and they're used to presenting to that academia, to those, PhDs, and they need that different approach. They need the slides, the stats, the research, and it's a different approach. And he called me because he said, I got to speak to a bunch of high schoolers, bro. How am I going to do this? Because I'm used to being in my suit behind the lectern and showing all my slides.
Right.
And so to each audience, what they need and what they're used to. But for those that try to speak in what we call the telenovela format, because, and nobody can be more dramatic than us Latinos in our telenovelas, our soap operas. And, oh my goodness.
Like the blab, dog, like the blab.
Dun, 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 it never fails. Everybody has their own style. Some people can say the same thing over and over again and just use it and it works for them. Other people can't and it works for them. But Consuelo, like I told you, was my mentor that got me into this whole game. I remember I had to speak after her once, and I was like, how am I supposed to follow you? I mean, this is just absurd. Like, who would even consider
She's
this?
nasty, dog. She's
And,
crazy.
oh, man.
She's a fight. You need a tissue box for her, man. She makes everybody cry. It don't matter.
Oh, she'll grab you, and you know how they have those videos where like they touch your head and they heal you. She'll grab your hands and be like, "Talk to me," like, "Oh, like right away." Like, she just lives it, bro.
She's incredible. She's incredible.
And I remember her telling me, "Mijo, you just have to speak from the heart and speak your truth, and everything will work out." Right. And what people don't see is that you have to fail quite a few times before you can succeed. And I was horrible at first. I was trying to tell my story, but then I ended up with another story, and then I went back to the beginning of my story, and then I fast forwarded to the end of my story, and I tried to end with the middle of my story. So, it just takes experience, and that's really what I've been able to do to get better at the craft. But, I don't criticize or judge as a speaker, quote unquote, and I don't like calling myself that. I don't call myself a motivational speaker, which tends to be the title that it's given. I'll call myself a storyteller, somebody that likes to share life and, share stories. I don't like to be critical and judge. However, if they ask for opinion, I'll tell them the opinion, but it'll be based on my experience because, believe it or not, my delivery, my style doesn't fit everybody. And that's something that you need to learn, and you need to get a thick skin really quick when you get into this game. I struggled when I had an audience of 198 of them loved it and 2 of them didn't. I focused on the 2. Right. Like, well, why didn't you? I gave you my all. I did everything that I usually do. Right. Used my best joke. I laughed as much as I could. I tried to be emotional. I tried to show you my real, the real pain and struggle that I've gone through. But everybody's different. For some people, they need the dry, 84 slides and data and statistics. And for others, the stories do it. And I don't know if you've noticed, but TV, music, movies, that emotional component, it's even gone to a point where it's emotional marketing. Look at American Idol, X Factor, The Voice, any of those shows. Mm-hmm. Before they set up the singer, they have to tell you the sorry story where you're bawling before they even sing.
Yeah, exactly.
I want them to win. I want them to win.
When they're singing, they can get up there and sing Happy Birthday. And you're like, I love this guy, man. He's so good. Because their story. And
they're all charity cases.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And so it's being used, and I say used in a bad way, a little bit too much sometimes. But we get a rap too, we're like, oh, here comes that guy that makes you cry. I'm like, it's not part of the deal, y'all. It just happens sometimes,
Yeah.
If I talk about my mom, I'm going to get emotional. I see my mom 2 weeks out of the year. I've been out of my house since I was 16 years old. That's a minute for me, believe it or not. These grays don't come out just because. So, I get emotional about it because I wish I was around her some more. If I talk about my kids while I'm on the road and I get emotional, it's because I wish I was there with them. So you just keep it real. You have to be honest, but you have to consider your audience too to try to connect with them.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Ernesto, about your audience because one of the things that I'm sure fascinates a lot of people, and it is for a lot of people a mystery, is you and Carlos and the Cool Speak team. I mean, your primary focus is engaging young people and getting them to change their lives. I mean, basically, and understand that the personal power that they have. Mm-hmm. And, for a lot of people, that's like unlocking a great mystery. How do you engage kids that have been disaffected, that have not had the resources that they deserve? And, what can one speech do? What can one even 2-day seminar do? So for those that are trying to, maybe they're a teacher, a parent, an activist, or just someone who's trying to figure this out to connect with young people, what's been the foundation for you and Cool Speak's success?
It goes back to what I was just telling Morgan. At Morgan, it really is basic and simple. You speak from the heart and you're true, and you try to speak with them and not just to them. There's a big difference. A lot of people like to go up there. One of my opening lines sometimes when I speak is, look, you guys are used to the guy in the suit that has a lot of slides and tells you because I made it and because I did it, you can. I said, I don't believe in that. Y'all got the wrong guy today. And right away, the suit's like, what? Like, I'm not going to make it? I'm like, no, it doesn't matter how bad I want that for you. It doesn't matter that I graduated. It matters what you want for yourself, and I'm here to try to share my journey. And our success has really been that, because when we're done with our speeches for the majority of our speakers, as soon as we're done, one of the things that students and even staff compliment us most upon is, man, thank you for being so real. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for allowing yourself to get emotional when you talked about this tragedy, this success, this relative, whatever it might be. And, you know, I used to think myself, I'm like, I don't know that a 50-minute speech can make that big of an impact.
Right.
And I was proven wrong many a times, and I continue to be proven wrong. I'll give you a case in point. I did a camp in in Washington, and it was all camp students, college assistance migrant program, and all freshmen. And two girls came up to me and she's like, "Hey, Ernesto, do you remember us?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm that guy that can't remember his own name sometimes." Both the girls were like, "Remember you did a camp for us when we were in 8th grade?" 8th grade, bro. 8th grade, and they still remembered me. Their freshman year in college. And I was like, wow, like now I feel even worse because you remember me and I don't remember you. But I remembered the camp and then it came back to me. But there are students that will message me and let me know, I saw you speak 3-4 years ago and it made such an impact that I graduated. One of my favors that I ask of students is, you know, if today's speech, today's camp, this week's camp made an impact on you, you don't need to say thank you to me. You don't need to send me a note right now or come talk to me. You can just prove it to me by sending me a picture of you, your family, and that diploma. Because that's the best thank you I could ever get. That means we did what we set out to do. And students will remember. Students will send those pictures. So come graduation time, I get a few thank yous, and nothing makes me feel better. I remember a few years back, a student from Idaho, his mother sent both Chu, Carlos Ojeda, and myself an email. And she said, "I have no idea who you guys are. I don't know why this was so urgent, but my son said I needed to send you this picture of his graduation because you guys played a big role in him getting to where he is. Thank you, and I appreciate you for helping him." He sent his mom to send us a picture of that graduation. And nothing beats that because I think that true servant leadership and the true desire to help others, when you get that, that's your paycheck. That really is. And if I could transfer that into funds and paying rent, I'd be set. But, you know, that's not necessarily how it works. However, being able to help others and to see the success down the road, nothing beats that. And nothing, you know, allows you to live a more satisfying life.
Morgan, is Ernesto's philosophy and approach to engaging young people resonate with some of the motivational speaking you've been doing?
Definitely. So, you know, the main reason I do it, and I actually, you know, I posted this on Facebook, was I want to be the person that I needed when I was younger. So in high school and college, I want to be that person that I should have, you know, that I wish would have came and spoke to my school. Because we had a lot of speakers, we had a lot of things, but it didn't really touch me because their story wasn't related to me. It was like just not related to me at all, and I just did not understand it at all. So for me, it's like I've played basketball, I played varsity basketball. You know, I was a bench warmer. I was 6 man. I went through depression, and you know, I was the cool kid. I was the guy who was picked on. So there's just every facet of everything that like you could go through in high school and college. Like I was there. It's like I want to go back and be like, guys, like, you know, I've been able to do some really awesome stuff. You know, I'm not a millionaire, I'm not like celebrity status, I'm not in Hollywood, but I've been able to do some really awesome stuff when I really took myself seriously, and I made a lot of great connections, and that continues to grow daily. You know, I'm just really getting started, and I really want to engage in the youth in that way and really tell them that, hey, look, like, you know, I just got out of college and I just want to come back and tell you guys, like, look, like, if you do these things, like, you will see so much inner potential in yourself. And if you remove all these things out of your life, that you'll really can see what you has accomplished, because nobody really goes back and does that. A lot of people, like, they graduate, they don't come back. They don't want to talk about it anymore. Right. They don't want to talk about what they've learned. And that's just something that I feel like my gift, and that's what I'm called to do, is go back and engage with that youth and give them that message, because I think it's definitely missed a lot.
Ernesto, Lupe had a question for you in the chat room that there doesn't seem to be enough resources for these kind of programs. And so her question is something to the effect of, where's this missing link? If programs like yours are so successful and you're doing it it's not, you're doing it with immigrant kids in Idaho, white kids in Arkansas, everything in between. Then why aren't we seeing that investment in these kind of in more activities like this for our kids?
Well, unfortunately, because the whole emotional intelligence or EQ movement is still newer, and because of the fact that it's harder to prove to those grant-funded, government-funded programs, look, Jimmy did a lot better because he learned how to deal with his emotions. And when you're going to try to begin to measure emotions, forget it. I mean, it's just extremely difficult. However, if you can say Jimmy had a C in math, but now he has a B in math, now all of a sudden, okay, that's great. But they don't pay attention to all those other factors. So what makes CoolSpeak in our programs stand out, and trust me, I hate doing infomercials because it's not my style, is that we actually deal with the student as a whole. And back to Lupa's question, some of the institutions do a lot, some funding for it, but they try to deal with the student as a whole by giving them an hour workshop. And those that are doing a little bit better are going to give them a 1-day retreat. And those that are really putting their money where their mouth is and really showing that it means something, that it's important, are sending them off to these week-long self-discovery, personal development retreats where they then discover what they're about, why they want an education, how to improve, what their demons are, what they need to do to better themselves as a student. It's not just about being able to get the A in the class. I'm pretty strict with my kids when it comes to school. And rule number 1 is you're not allowed to miss. And showing up is half the game. That's so right. I'm proud to say that, my son's a freshman in high school, and he may have missed maybe 3 or 4 days of school his entire school career.
Wow.
My daughter's in 6th grade, and I think she maybe have missed 3 or 4 already as well. And they pride themselves on it. They wanted at the end of the year to be that student that get called up for perfect attendance. And I always let them know, I don't care if you get an A. I'm okay if it's a C or a B if you learned. And unfortunately, our educational system isn't set up that way. They want the A. They want you to show I got an A. And research already shows us those straight A students that go to an interview because all they did was go to the library and hit the books, they can't even look at the person interviewing them eye to eye because they don't have the social skills. They don't have the emotional intelligence to interact. They don't have the critical thinking skills to think on their feet during difficult situations. And unfortunately, it's difficult to measure and to prove. And I think that's why institutions, especially higher ed, are struggling more in providing funding for something like this. And if it does provide something, it's going to come through your student activities. As a speaker, as a musician, as a comedian, as a 1-day workshop, or, luckily for those that have the funding, a retreat or something like that. But if you ask me, that's what's missing and that's what's needed. When I was a college dean, my baby, I always refer to it as my baby, was the student activities department. That was one of the many departments that I had the honor of overseeing, but student activities was my baby. Because in all honesty, to me, that's where a student really gets the skills that are needed to develop, to succeed in life. Yes, you need the diploma. Yes, you need the understanding and the learning. Absolutely, no doubt. However, the critical thinking skills, the emotional intelligence, the leadership skills, the president, the vice president, the treasurer, all these positions that you hold, the retreats, the conferences, that's where you learn how to be a whole person. Those international trips, those exchange student trips, all those things, that's where you learn everything that you need to succeed. Classroom is needed. Don't get me wrong and don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But all these other things are needed as well.
We've got some passionate people here, and on the side of ED and incubator, critical thinking will not be a reality with the competitiveness of first place, second place, etc. And feel free, either yourself or Emily, Tatiati, Vanessa. There's a lot of friends. We have a 4th chair, so feel free if you want to ask our student engagement expert Ernesto Mejia from CoolSpeak a question directly live on the show. And you're watching Ray's Talk Show. Which your virtual big brother and host of Ray's Talk Show, Ray Collazo, again, our student engagement expert, an incredible national motivational speaker, and a great friend of the program, Ernesto Mejia, is with us from the Midwest. Let's just put it that way. He's out
there. Midwest boy, for sure.
That's right. Nothing wrong with that. And Morgan Ingram, people very familiar with Morgan on Blab, and definitely one of our young motivational speakers. Ernesto, before we get into the second segment, quickly shout out where they can find you on social media before we start hearing more about CoolSpeak and this incredible business that you and Carlos have put together.
Yeah, I mean, the basic one's just CoolSpeak on any social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. E Mejia on Instagram, Earn Mejia. I mean, on Twitter, E Mejia. On Instagram is Earn Mejia, ERNMEJIA. But really through CoolSpeak, you can find me. Again, when you do for a living what you love, you don't have to worry about everything else because you can promote that. So if you look through CoolSpeak, you're going to find me. You'll find me and the rest of our team.
Awesome. And Morgan, particularly for the podcast audience, shout out your social media contact info, and you're a live stream king, dog. You are on the Perry. You're doing your thing. Let people know where they can find you, man.
I'm on a lot of stuff. I mean, I make it super easy for people at Morgan J Ingram. Every single thing is at Morgan J Ingram. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's all there. So check me out there, and that's where I'm always posting something motivational.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And we super appreciate everyone, particularly watching on the Blab. I don't know if you've noticed, Ernesto, but in the upper right-hand corner, there's a map. So you see where people from around the country, we got people in the Northeast.
Yeah.
It looks like your old haunts there in Michigan, it appears.
Right.
Not on the Ontario side.
I know, baby.
That's awesome, EDN. And I know Morgan's chiming in from the ATL. We got people in the Southwest, and I think that's Vanessa in the Tampa Bay area, but definitely a lot of very cool Pontiac in the building. So very
Shout
cool.
out to Pontiac. I know we got some Latinos out there. I've been out there more in the future.
Oh yeah,
back in the old Lion days, baby.
Oh, I'm telling you, there's a few of us at Tampa. Thank you again, all of you, for joining us. So Ernesto, I wanted, particularly those that aren't familiar with CoolSpeak, I wanted people to understand this journey. And for those, we're gonna, again, if you want to jump into the seat, you can definitely ask questions about Ernesto's philosophy on parent engagement, student engagement, best practices. He's got lots of expertise dealing with lots of different types of students. But I also did want to spend a little time in this conversation here on Ray's Talk Show for people to understand the journey of the company that Ernesto and his partner, Carlos Ojeda, and many other people. I mean, dozens of speakers and activists. It's just an incredible roster of talent and people that are really committed to the cause of empowering young people in education. But I want people to understand that this is an incredible social entrepreneurship enterprise. And I want people out there who are creative, who are passionate about service, to understand that, we can do this as entrepreneurs. We can service others, and not have to, and do things that are living our passion. So Ernesto, for those not familiar with the CoolSpeak journey, why don't you let people know how this incredible education business began for you and Carlos?
Absolutely. Well, you keep on hearing me bring up Consuelo, who's a mutual mentor of ours, and Ray, you know her as well.
Absolutely, girl.
So Carlos and I both worked for Consuelo, and while working there, we just decided at one point, you know what? I think we can do this. And when you have good leaders, good-hearted individuals that are true servant leaders, they'll help you along the way and not hold you back. Consuelo enabled us to begin our journey, meaning CoolSpeak, and helped us financially as well, because we did some work for her and she would give us a percentage of that. And when we as a whole or as a group can learn to not be so greedy and help others along their way, a lot of us can succeed as opposed to a few of us. And Consuelo allowed that opportunity for both Carlos and I, my business partner, who is the founder of CoolSpeak. And CoolSpeak is a youth engagement company that really and truly focuses on helping our students succeed, helping our parents succeed, and helping our teachers succeed. We call that the trifecta of success. If we can get all three of them on the same page, our students are going to hit a home run every time. If our students are on the same page as the parents and the teachers, it's a win-win. But what we do as a company and our team, we do keynotes, we do workshops, we do conferences, we do retreats, summer camps, bilingual. Si se ocupa en español, también se puede en español. If we need to do it in Spanish, we can deliver in Spanish. That's something that we really pride ourselves in, because with the changing demographics in the country, that's something that we can definitely address and help out with. And our roster goes from everything from PhDs, PhD candidates, former NFL players, former Division I basketball players, former Harlem
actors in
Globetrotters,
Hollywood, movies.
actors and actresses in Hollywood. We have inquiries every month, probably anywhere between 5 to 10 inquiries. And even I'm in awe because some of them may be former Olympians. Some of them may be former musicians or up and coming musicians, actors, actresses. And we're allowed the privilege to be selective because we're not going to play the Snooki card where you're going to get on stage because of a name and ask for a lot of money, but not be able to deliver and give our audience what they deserve and get there early and stay late. Right. And those are the important factors because, coming in with a name, that's great. But coming in, wanting to make a difference, wanting to help, wanting to support our students and their success and their journey, that's what really matters because, we've even seen speakers that are great on stage but could care less when they're off stage. And that's just not what we want. That's not who we want to associate ourselves with, and that's not who we want to send to represent CoolSpeak. Absolutely. Wherever CoolSpeak goes, we'll leave a lasting impression that people can say, you know what, you could tell that they really cared, bottom line. And that's more important to me than anything else. And everything else will work its way through. But ultimately, our work has now allowed us to then partner with some corporate. And like you said, when you do what you want for a living and you follow your heart, the money will follow. You follow your passion, the money will follow. And luckily, we're blessed to have partnerships with U.S. Bank, with Target, with AT&T, with McDonald's that help sponsor some of these tours so we can get some of these services to those schools that couldn't otherwise bring in our services, and they definitely need them.
Yeah, no, Morgan, why don't you read the question that I believe Vanessa provided for us in the chat that's in the main screen here?
Definitely. So the question here is, how do you know when the time is right to take the plunge to make the change? The fear of financial instability tends to stop us from doing our own thing.
Absolutely. So here's my advice to folks in that particular predicament. And I just spoke with another friend of mine on this today. One, you need to make sure that you have some monies to weather the storm for a good year, because you need to be able to put yourself in this 24/7 and not have to worry about paying the bills for a few months, because you need that experience, you need that exposure. And for me, I didn't take my own advice because I said, you know what, I'm going to go all in, and if I have to live under a tree, I'll do it. And facilitation is my first go-to. I'm a trained facilitator from my days at the University of Michigan, and speaking came second. And speaking actually complemented my income, so I started doing it more. But facilitation is what I love to do. So some of the factors and some of the things that I would suggest for you to do is a pros and cons list. Okay, if I jump over here and just go full-time speaking, can I make it, and for how long can I make it? The cons, if I can't, what do I need? How do I prepare? Who do I associate myself with? What can I do to get that experience? Because, it's one of those kind of oxymoron, so to speak, not really, but, like when you go and interview for a job, well, you don't have any experience. Well, I don't, because nobody hires me. So how can I get the experience?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, the same thing goes with speaking. So when I find folks out on the road, that often happens, you know what, I'd love to do what you do. I make it simple for them. I say, you know what, get yourself in 5 schools. Let me know how it goes, and then we can talk. I've had one person follow up after that.
That's
because they've realized, dang, getting into those schools ain't easy. I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. I don't know what learning objectives are. I don't even know what the word honorarium means. I don't know what the outcomes are. I don't know. And you need to know all these things before you can get there, because that's important. Right. But I would try to shadow, just like they tell you in college, do it, right now too. Shadow some speakers, pick their brains, let them know, because for some speakers, you know what? I know some college cats that I'm trying to get on our roster now because they're that good. They're like college sophomore. Just unbelievable talent. And I also know some PhDs that want to get on the roster, and they need a lot of work. They need a lot of training. Right. So everybody's at a different level. You need to gauge where you're at how much you can ask for and how much you can expect to make yourself survive, because you got to consider taxes, health insurance, paying your bills, all these other things that come along with this. But, I'm happy to help anybody out however we can. I'm very proud to say that in March, we've partnered with UPenn to deliver a speakers training for people that are interested in speaking. You can visit the CoolSpeak website. We're in the process of upgrading and changing our website, but just leave us a note there and say that you're interested, and we can send you information, because a lot of people get really protective with this, meaning, well, I'm not going to tell you how to do it because then you might take my job. And those are the people that are full of it, because really, I mean, if you think you can deliver the same thing that I can deliver in Spanish and or English, then I'm in trouble. Okay.
Right.
But a lot of people also on the other side, and I ask that you be cautious and wary of this, will say, I'll teach you how to speak, and you just need to make a $2,000 deposit, and I'm going to send you the kit and the videos and everything. And then for another $3,000, I'm going to get you some marketing stuff. And then for another $4,000, I'm going to get you up on our roster. People don't have that kind of money. I was blessed to be supported and enabled by somebody else to get there. And everybody can't get there. So, talk to people, ask, and then you can work your way around.
Yeah, no, and I think it sort of speaks, this comment, and I believe EDN Incubator put it, I'm not sure, but is it about doing your own thing or seeking safety in the known? Let me ask that question this way. So Ernesto, for you and Carlos, and, at some point, I know from personal experience, you did everything you could to try to be ready, but you're never going to truly be ready, right? So what was, for those that feel like they want to make the leap, or they know at some point, in the near future they want to make the leap, what would be, besides sort of the having your stuff together, what gave you the drive to what were the keys for you to actually to be able to make that breakthrough? And I'm going to be here. I'm going to actually listen to that answer. I have to pour my 4-year-old a little cereal. So I'll be right back. And Morgan, you're in good hands at Morgan. So I'll be here. But please, but let us know how we, how did you make that leap, brother? That's what so many of us are struggling with is doing it at the end of the.
I think the first thing that comes to mind whenever I'm asked that is, I want you to be able to give yourself a fair shot at really taking that leap. I don't want you to come across immediately and you're trying to book your first gig. Come on, I really need this gig. I don't have a job. Come on, please, I'll take whatever. It just doesn't look good on you. It doesn't on any of us. So give yourself a fair shot. Prepare yourself in terms of finances, in terms of support, in terms of mentors, in terms of marketing materials, all those things. For those that are on the fence, the first question that I had asked myself is, why are you on the fence? Is it finances? Is it skills? Is it marketing? Is it the ability to deliver? Is it actual product list? You have to ask yourself all those things, because, for me, when I asked myself, do I want to make the leap? I immediately said yes. And the thing is, I didn't think of any of those things. And I forced myself into success because of it. However, I could have very easily ended up on the other side and back in a regular 9-to-5 job because I didn't make it. And I know quite a few people that make the leap and say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm ready. And they give themselves 2-3 months and it doesn't work out. And they go back to a regular 9-to-5. Nobody said you can't keep your 9-to-5 for a good amount of time and get more experience,
right? And
build that nest egg. And to continue to develop your marketing materials, to build that website, to do all these other things so that when you do take the leap, you already have clientele. You already have folks looking for you. You already have a reputation. I've been a road warrior for the past couple of years, and that's why as few people, and I say a few because not a whole lot, know of me and know of my work and know what I'm able to do and know what I deliver. But that takes a lot of time. You can't just do mailings, because I'm going to tell you what, I hate to burst everybody's bubbles, but I was on the other side as a student activities person when I was a dean. All those mailings that came through, they went straight to the trash, every single one of them. And I always let people know, if somebody else from another school called me and said, you know what, I saw this one guy, Morgan, he was on point. His stuff was good. If you ever need a speaker that was a former athlete and, for an African-American audience, for an orientation, that's who you should get. And that's how CoolSpeak does all of its marketing. Word of mouth, straight word of mouth. And nothing will ever beat that. Nothing will beat word of mouth. Email, spamming, hard mail, snail mail, posters, videos, DVDs. Nothing beats somebody else saying, you know what? This brother, this sister, they can deliver. And I've gotten plenty of gigs because of it.
Right. I agree.
Morgan, how do you have any questions about Ernesto about the business side of their work? Because these guys have really built something.
Definitely. I think the biggest thing for me, when I started out, I had, a lot of things. I just had no idea it could actually be full time or even a business.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just really like speaking. That's actually I just really enjoyed because I had the gift and I was like, I like it. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until October, November, and I was like, this is very serious. Like I watched Eric Thomas, Inky Johnson, Les Brown, really went in depth and just really watched their videos. And I was like, this is a serious thing. Like there's a lot of, work behind it, and this can be real, because a lot of people were like, are you full time? And I was like, what does that even mean? Like
right.
I didn't even know.
You're like, yeah, I got a job.
Yeah, exactly. So it was really, I really wanted to ask more. So like, starting out, I have spoken at, multiple places. So now it's like, when is that, what's the next leap? Like just keep speaking at schools or just reaching out to different companies? Like what's the next leap? Trying to get to an event or conference? I think that's where I'm like at right now.
Well, you need to know your target audience first and foremost.
Yeah, that's what I was about to
narrow it down as much as you can.
So for me, it's high school and colleges.
Okay, high school and colleges, but you can still narrow it down because demographics, topic, time of the year, orientation, Black History Month, all year. Because I'll tell you, unfortunately for us, we get discriminated against a little bit, and I'll tell you why. Hispanic, African-American speakers, well, we need you for Hispanic Heritage Month and Black History Month. But you can take the rest of the year off. No. You can work the whole year and can deliver for any and all.
You only get access to those budgets, which
absolutely. And so you need to be able to find those areas where you fit in, and then you can try to target the conferences that serve those areas. The NASMEs, the NASPAs, the APCAs, the NACAs, all those different conferences, the NODAs for orientations. And it's going to take some money. And I always tell people, don't go in there guns blazing day one. I'm going to pay, $2,000 for my booth, and I'm going to take all my marketing material and do all that stuff. When you have no idea how the conference even functions, who shows up, who are the heavy hitters, who do you need to meet, who can hook you up, who can you room with, who can you save some money with, things like that. Go through that and then try to invest in it. But for you, Morgan, I would say, narrow that down. And then from there, I would make a list. What can I deliver to those audiences? What can I do? How can I help the people that get those grants, that spend those money, say, okay, if I bring in Morgan, he's going to help me meet X, Y, and Z, and he's good for all of these audiences.
No, and I would just add to that, and I definitely want to introduce our guest here. Thank you so much for joining us. Is that, I'm a big proponent on conferences, and that should be a whole other conversation, how to maximize conferences and networking. But you got to do what you got to do. So there's been times, and Ernesto, we'll keep it real here, right? There's times where people, I don't know if me and Ernesto, but there's been times when me and Ernesto have gone to conferences, didn't even have registration. Because we figured half the time you're connected with people in the lobby, you're connected with people at events, and we figured, hey, we're here to do a good thing. We're here to help people. Once we show up, we'll figure it out. So absolutely. There's opportunities, especially Morgan, ATL is a big convention city. There's opportunities for you to, just pop in, even if you can't get into the formal conference. There's side receptions. You just got to be resourceful. So we have someone that's joined us. Please introduce yourself, EDN. Thank you for joining this conversation on Ray's Talk Show.
Hi, thank you. Amos is my name, and EDN Incubator. We incubate startups and small businesses that want to experience high growth. And fellow Michigander.
That's right, buddy.
How are you?
Good. Welcome, man.
Yeah. A little bit of something though that allow me to throw some punches here when it comes to business of public speaking. We kind of have to, in my opinion, at the least, it shouldn't be something that we wake up and want to do. People should only get into that business when they have a true calling to do it. I will even argue that if we enjoy, and please don't take this the wrong way, Morgan, this is not direct towards you. If we enjoy talking, then we should do more of comedian type of thing. But if we're trying to impact people's life, it should come from within. And if it's coming from within, really you're unstoppable. Because when a road block, you're gonna find another one. When there is will, there will always be a way. So, and in addition to that, is you nail on it and Esto before, government a waste of time. I don't even spend a penny of my time trying to, waste time with the government. There's a place and time for them, but we got to start in our scope. The same thing we teach to small businesses we incubate. The first set of customers to target are the ones that have the soft spot for you. Your mama, your daddy, your uncle, your brother. Show them the value. If they cannot buy from you, then you don't have a product and you don't have market. So the reality of it is that soft spot helps boost your marketing. And then that gives you the practice. But when you're going to go face people that don't care about you, but only care about the value you can give them in exchange for their money. The same thing with public speaking. If people don't get captivated in what you are saying and then take it and transfer it, like you said, from the word of mouth, then it will never happen. And you cannot connect if it's not coming from within.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's kind of be careful for the advantage of our community as a whole. We want to be driven with purpose, not money.
Right.
Purpose, however, will make you a whole lot of money.
Absolutely. Whenever you're, my mentor, Consuelo, taught me this. If you follow your passion, the money will come. And if you feel it's your purpose, and that's why when I jumped in, I don't recommend this for anybody. And I try to be clear on this. I jumped in and said, you know what, I'll live under a tree for a while as long as my kids sleep warm, have food, and I'm able to pay for their education. And I think a lot of people can't leave their 9 to 5 because they wait too long to do it. There's too many people dependent upon it. Well, yeah, I'm going to give it a shot, but then we're going to be homeless and I'm going to put my kids and my wife or my significant other, or just my kids in a shelter. We're just going to see if it works out. I don't think they're going to sign up for that. I think they're going to be like, yeah, let's give it a shot. I really support you that much because you know what? It's tough. So, I think a lot of the times we need to have the kid in us still where it says, you know what? I'm going to try it. If I fall, I'll get back up. But it is difficult to leave benefits, to leave the retirement, to leave regular paycheck, to leave paid vacation days, to leave all these other things. However, sometimes you need to take that risk to make it happen. And it's not for everybody. That's the thing. I was talking to one of my friends earlier and I let them know we all have a story. Every single one of us has a story. However, not everyone knows how to deliver that story, share that story, and make it so that it's impactful for others and make that story something that can help you build some wealth. There's a reason that people are in this business end up with books, end up with CDs, end up with seminars, end up with T-shirts. I was telling one of my friends, I was like, look, if I do my thing on stage with the youth and I can rock it like I think I can be done and be like, all right, guys, today we're going to sell some underwear. It says Ernesto on the back. It's going to be on point. There'll be some students like, I want 3. I'm in. Is it going to make me feel better? No, it's just underwear. Nothing more, nothing less. But when you deliver, people are game. People want to buy your stuff. There's a reason the big time speakers, the Les, the Anthonys, the Jess Ships, those folks, they can do that stuff because people follow them and people believe in what they do. But I will. This is as arrogant and as cocky as I can get, and it's not my style. I'll put anybody from our team up against all of those people, and I think that we can hang with all of them, if not every single one of them. And just because we may only have a CD when we're done or a book when we're done and not, this whole layout of all kinds of stuff, it doesn't mean that we're not as good, and it doesn't mean that we don't care. And I think for a lot of people, everybody for the most part, but I'm not categorizing everybody. When money's involved and there's more and more money, it changes your focus sometimes. And I've always said, I'm not trying to be rich. I'm trying to pay my bills and take care of my family. And thank God I've been able to do that. So I'm good. I'm happy. I'm content with that.
Yeah, no, it seems like this, the business of public speaking topic is really resonating, and we're getting new people into the chat. Gael, Trish, Mr. Scott, there's so many. Really appreciate everyone jumping in. And after Amos is done, we can definitely add more people into. Someone else would like to jump in the chair and ask Ernesto a question. I do have a question for you, Ernesto.
Sure.
Is that so when you're a public speaker, how do you, we know some of the tools, right, in terms of books, CDs, and other kind of materials. How do you determine what's the right type of material to market to your audience?
Yeah, I think it's the best resources to complement what you do and what you deliver. So, for example, last year I finished a parent workbook that we used with one of our tours. And the parent workbook is literally for a parent and his or her child or children to create a better relationship. So, for example, it starts off with a quiz. And, I'll put this out there to all the parents. It starts off nice and easy. What's your child's favorite color, favorite food, favorite subject in school? I'm like, oh, okay. I know my child pretty good. And then it moves into what is your children's, all their social media platform usernames and passwords if they're younger. Who are their 3 best friends? Who is it that they hang out with most? If they had money, what would they do? And it's knowing those things and understanding those things so that they can create a better relationship. So whatever it is that you deliver, it should complement that. For some people, it is something as basic as, a T-shirt. Here's a T-shirt to remember the day. Well, it complements their income more so than anything else, but it's also kind of marketing, if you will, because it still has their name, their logo, their company, or a saying or something of that form. So, I would always say it should complement whatever it is that you deliver, whatever it is that you're teaching or trying to share with your audience so that it can continue that growth and development within them.
Now, how do you determine price points? Let's get into it. There's a lot of people here, a lot of public speakers, professionals here. I think they have these kind of questions. Yogi needs to jump in here. She's enjoying these questions.
She's loving it.
So at first,
jump in there, Yolanda, please.
You have to make it for profit if you're going to be able to continue to do it. Unless you're a millionaire and you got somebody spotting you, you have to make some money off of it. So, for example, if it cost you $5 to make your book, then you better try to sell it at 10 so you can make some money off of it to buy that next supply. Because here's the part that nobody really knows about this business very well, but it's something that you need to know. Once you get a book and you're a speaker, there's some clients that hire you and here's a $15,000 contract. You do the gig in January and your paycheck's going to come in March or April. And that's some money that you have to front on your own to make that float and to make it work. And when you're starting, man, you're calling every other day, hey, that check coming anytime soon? Because, my kids still got to eat. We got to figure this out. So, you have to think about those things. Once the demand is there for you, you can bump up your price some more because the demand is there. And for those of you that are starting with some sort of product, some of you can sell yourself through the product. You know what? I don't have money for your honorarium, but I'll buy 2,000 of your books. You know what? I'll come for free. Just get the books.
That's right. Hey, we got Yolanda Barnes. First of all, always good to have a woman join our conversation. We need more women. Got to be. Sometimes you get a little shy. They got to jump on the blab. So Yolanda, it seems like you're enjoying Ernesto's feedback here.
I am.
Oh, thank you, Yolanda.
Disappointed because I'm a poet and a public speaker.
Yolanda, let me stop you there.
Uh-oh.
Two of our best speakers.
Oh, yeah.
Best speakers are spoken word artists.
Oof.
And one of them is the world champion of spoken word, Mr. Joaquin Zihuatanejo. And the other one, Natasha Carrizosa, is our Meji Africana. She's half Mexican, half African-American. And they're taking it to the other level because they can do the storytelling and the setup to then deliver their beautiful poetry.
Yes. And that's one of the reasons why I joined Toastmasters. I know a lot of people.
Okay.
I joined Toastmasters and I said I have to diversify.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons why I joined. And I have merchandise. I have a book. We did limited edition T-shirts.
Okay.
And I've just kind of watched a lot of blabs and watched a lot of workshops and done a lot of different things and started to rebrand and rework everything.
There you go.
So I've decided that there will always be something that I give for free that has value to it, but I can use it to filter to get email names.
Absolutely.
I'm really doing things a lot different now. And I'm going to start doing journals, just blank page journals to sell to other people on top of doing workshops and things of that nature. So it's really starting to all come together. Everything is falling into place. And I'm just excited about where it's about to go. So
that's great. And you know what, Yolanda, if I could, first, I commend you on doing what you're doing. It sounds like you're doing a phenomenal job. And, you know, one of our networking sessions that I teach to our students is you first have to go up and show that other person what it is that you can offer before you even consider asking, what do you have for me? Yeah. And by you giving out a book, a sample, a DVD, a T-shirt, whatever it might be, that shows, you know what, check me out, see what I have, and then you might be interested. And if you're not, that's okay. But it shows that you're investing in yourself in order for them to then consider investing in you as well. So I commend you on that. And we do that often too. You know, there's times that we'll give out extra books, and you know what, God is good to us. I cannot say that enough, because we'll give out, 10 books, and then the next thing you know, after one of our events, the principal calls back and says, you know what, we'd like to order 200 of your books for our students. Wow. Because somebody got a hold of it and they saw it. And in terms of you doing that, something that I would suggest or recommend that you do too is after your events, there's this comedian that every now and then I'm compared to, hopefully not by size, Gabriel Iglesias, a.k.a. Fluffy. Like, oh, man, you're funny like Fluffy, man. I'm like, I'm not fluffy like Fluffy, but all right, I'm not funny like Fluffy.
And it gives Ernesto that motivation to pump some more iron. You know?
Well, and you know what? Absolutely. And one of the reasons I feel he succeeded was because he stays after all of his shows for hours to take pictures, to sign autographs, to just talk with people. And that makes him that much more likable. He's already hilarious. Yeah. But when people say, you know what, this dude really just stuck around to try to holler and try to connect and allowed us to take a picture. And that makes a difference. So whenever you're done with your poetry and you have an audience, I'd suggest you try to stay as long as you can possibly stay and sign a book or two for them, because believe it or not, you become a celebrity when you're off stage. And I say that not because that's something that I aspire to do, but that's kind of how they see you. And there's times where I don't have anything, and students will say, can you sign my backpack? I'm like, look, I'm not a celebrity. I'm not going to sign your backpack. I said, you know what? I'll sign something, but I'll make a personal message for you on a piece of paper, but we got to make a deal. If I sign, you have to send me a picture of your diploma. You in or you out?
Yes.
Oh, no, I'm in. Yes. So I'll just sign. All right, here's my name. Here's what I do. Get that degree, and here's my info so you can send it to me later.
Ernesto, give Yolanda another little tip, working with Joaquin and other poets on your roster for people that do the spoken word piece. Give her another little tidbit about it.
Sure, absolutely. So you have to consider your audience, but also what other resources or sessions or workshops can you deliver? Writing is a forte. Writing is something that you do. You can deliver then sessions to complement your, because I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of clients are looking to get the biggest possible bang for their buck. So if you say, you know what, I can come in and do a open mic for an hour, and then later that evening or the next morning or that night, I'll deliver a workshop for you on writing your mission statement, on writing whatever it might be. You're already there. It doesn't cost you anything more unless you have to stay the night. You can ask for lodging for the night so that you can deliver 2 instead of 1. And you can say, you know what, each gig costs this much, but I'm going to give you both of them. And I'm just going to ask you to cover lodging for the night. Oh man, I got a deal. I'm in. I'm doing this for sure.
No, and I've seen Joaquin in particular in your squad, Ernesto, offer that like to help some of the students like develop their like a poetry training class. And the kids love that, particularly kids from our community. They love to be creative. They love the artistic element of it. And it brings out, it helps a lot of our children express themselves because they may be holding on to a lot of pain, but they express it through the artistic element of it. So Yolanda,
we'll go through this real quick because I want Yolanda to make this the best blab she ever became a part of. All right.
There you go. I'm taking care of it. I already put it in the chat. I got it.
So Yolanda, what is it that got you into writing and doing poetry?
I started off at 13 years old and I was writing raps.
Okay.
And then one day it just changed. And I was talking to a friend and I was like, read this. And she read it and I was like, this doesn't flow. It doesn't have the cadence. It's not doing right. I said, this is not what I normally do. And she said, because it's poetry. And I've been writing it ever since.
And so here's why I asked you. You can develop a session based off of what you just told me. It started as a flow and it turned into
poetry.
A scholarship essay, a poetry, a novel, a book, a movie script, whatever you want. But because it's in you, that's what you got already. So you're not making something up. You're talking about what you already did. And you can provide somebody that other resource, that other way to express themselves. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there's a ton of pain, a ton of hurt going on with these kids, and they don't know what to do with it. And unfortunately, that then translates into drugs, alcohol, sex, stealing, homelessness, running away. And if we can teach them, you know what, you can deal with it, and I want you to write a flow about it. And I want you to try to write a poem about it. And for a lot of us, writing is very scary because, like, I don't know how to write poetry. Well, you can take them through a whole session where you give them the cues. I need you to write X amount of words. I need you to rhyme line 1 with line 3. I need you to just write about a feeling here. I need you to write about an emotion here. Okay, I need you to do this here. I need you to write this here. And next thing you know, wow, I just wrote a poem thanks to Yolanda's guidelines.
Or a rap, right?
Or a rap, whatever it might be.
Right? You know,
Yolanda. There you go, Yolanda. See, I see you smiling, girl. I like that.
That piece is very marketable, the transition, you know, kind of the flow in between expressing yourself through lyrics and poetry. Look up, I don't know, are you familiar with the Broadway hit Hamilton? It's like the biggest show on Broadway is about the colonial system. No, it's about Alexander Hamilton, one of the founders of the country. Yeah. But a Puerto Rican guy was a big Broadway star. Lin-Manuel Miranda he has a whole hip hop opera about the colonial days. So it's all these Black and Latino guys like with the wigs and the whole thing. But it's hip hop. So he's incorporating that hip hop flow with like a real upscale Broadway style. And so what I'm saying is that it's very marketable. There's a lot of different directions you can go with it. And I love that idea, Ernesto, you just dropped on everyone around incorporating the training element. Mm-hmm. And I know that's something that the creative Morgan, what do you think about that idea? Does that give you ideas about how to diversify the kind of services that you offer?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, you know, so if you look at my Facebook, look on certain things, I just understand personal branding and I tell people how to really use their message to get out there. I think a lot of people are afraid to start something on social media because they don't think they have a good story. Mm-hmm. I think that's just basically an excuse for you not to do what you actually need to do. You know, I graduated college and, you know, I was able to grow a brand, like I said, that expands to Australia, UK, Brazil, France, and all those sorts of things. So it's really understanding your message and really consistently putting it out there and the right people show up. Because I feel like if you're really giving out the good message, like from your heart, true passion, and you're really genuine, I think the right people show up. You just got to be willing to, put it out there. Because if you're not, then don't expect people to show up because they won't, because they don't know what you're doing.
Morgan, if I were you, and you should follow up with Ernesto on this because I think he might be interested. See, I'm always trying to hook people up, especially Morgan, who's been helping me co-host the show today. Is that Morgan? You got that Periscope thing going on, and I think there would be some great synergy potentially with CoolSpeak, but definitely as part of your portfolio to be able to train young people how to use Periscope for personal branding, because the live stream piece is so hot now. That's going to be the Snapchat of 2016 is going to be these live streaming services like Blab. So I definitely think you should incorporate a Periscope element, training element to what you're doing. And I know that's something.
Let's make it worth Morgan's while too.
Okay.
So,
got an offer he can't refuse, Morgan.
That's right. So Morgan, if I were you, to add more bang to your buck, to your keynotes, make a workshop where you help everybody share their story, their journey, why they want an education, what's important to them through a Periscope. Something simple that they can do. And by streaming it, they can see it themselves later. Or maybe they stream a message to their parents, to their loved ones, letting them know why they appreciate the sacrifices. Because it's in a format that they like, a format that a lot of them are familiar with. And, I mean, let's keep it real. How many of us sat down with our parents in our teens or early 20s to say, you know what, I love you and I appreciate you because, and I'm so glad you made these sacrifices, and I'm so grateful that you did it. Most of us don't. It's extremely difficult.
Right.
And if you could provide a session where they can create that through a Periscope maybe and share it with their loved ones, man.
Right.
That'd be awesome. And any of these services, whether it's Blab, whether it's Mevi, there's Facebook Live, more and more people are utilizing that. There'll be 3 more tomorrow, there's so much. Hey, I want to be respectful of Ernesto's time, so we're hitting the home stretch. We're not running away right now, but we're definitely hitting the home stretch of the show. We really appreciate the people that have been joining us. Tatiana, you always say that. You never come. Tatiana's a great watcher of my programs, Race Talk Show, but she never joins the show. So anyway, but you got to, Tatiana, you owe me one. Come on, girl. But she's her and Vanessa and so many others are. But yeah, definitely would allow. Want to provide 1 or 2 more people a quick opportunity to join in here on the Blab. Ernesto, what do you think about this technology, man? What do you think about Blab? It's your first Blab. I mean,
it's my first Blab, man. And
do you see yourself in CoolSpeak incorporating into your workflow or somehow?
Being one that likes to blab for a living, this is actually really cool. And Guayaso, you're right in terms of telling Morgan or suggesting to Morgan, this is a platform. This is a way to go. You have to kind of know how to meet your audience where they're at. Mm-hmm. You can't go in there and say, okay, guys, we're going to make an 8-track now of our lives. You're like, what who's an 8-track and where did that come from? But if you say, you know what, we're going to all create some vines real quick about what education is. Okay. Now you're talking my language. What are we doing? Who's in? Can we do it in teams? Do we do it individually? What are the guidelines? They're in. So try to meet them where they're at as well, because that makes a difference.
Yeah, no, I think we have someone trying to join us here while they jump on. Ernesto, give our public speakers a little tip. One of the things I really respect about what you and CoolSpeak have done is you guys work with the corporates and do it in a way that keeps it real to your vision. So for the public speakers watching and listening to the podcast, any tips on how to engage the corporate folks? And our guest, hopefully we'll be able to see him here in a second.
Yeah, you know what? It goes back to what I was telling Morgan about your workshops, and I was telling our other guest a minute ago. Find your strengths. What is it that you can offer? Because, a lot of the times people will be like, yo, how did you land McDonald's? I'm like, well, believe it or not, McDonald's landed us. They came looking for us because we had something that nobody else delivered. So guess what? They came knocking to our door. And while that doesn't happen often, and I acknowledge that and I recognize that, we have to then look at ourselves and what we have to offer before we go knocking on anybody's door. If Morgan wants to go and try to, partner up with Chase Visa, or anybody, what is it that you have to offer? And what is it that you have to offer that's so unique, so different, and so good that they're going to listen to you?
Right.
So what we have to offer that's so unique, so different, and makes people want to listen is we can customize a full tour. We create it to your wanting. We incorporate your messaging. We do things that, are going to help you get a better name out there. So
Ernesto, when you say a tour, explain to people kind of the
Yeah. So for example, some of our tours will be like a 10, 15 city tour for a corporate client, and they sponsor it. And in the background's all their info. And for some, We actually talk about a scholarship that they offer, a service that they offer, some financial literacy, some driving safe, no texting while driving,
Right.
Scholarship, all those things. So those things aren't really out there quite yet a whole lot, where you have somebody that, is partnering with corporates to do those things. It's a little bit backwards, I think, if you ask me, where corporates will say, you know what, you're doing a good job. Here's a check for, X amount of money. Well, we want to provide something to them, and we're able to do that in a very unique fashion. And we pride ourselves in what we do, because Koyasu was very accurate in stating we stay true to our mission, what we're about, and it's not an arena we want to get into, because I will tell you right now, if I wanted to live a cushy life, I just jump over to corporate. That's the way it goes. And a lot of people that do this do that. Well, you know what? It's great talking to the students and whatnot, but I can do one corporate gig and not do the 10 student gigs that I did. Well, to me, it's true, and you could make more money that way, but money isn't everything. It really isn't. And I think it takes us a long time to truly, really understand what that means. I don't think I'm going to change a lot of corporate individuals' approach in life or success in life, because if they're already in the corporate world, they're already doing pretty good. But when I can talk to the young kid that's thinking about dropping out of school, or maybe on a direct path to prison, then I feel like I've done a better job. I feel like my services and my talents were used where they should have been used. But again, to each his own. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because I have plenty of friends that do the corporate thing, and they're phenomenal at it, and they're doing a good job. That was their calling.
Yeah. How about the Ernesto? Quick tip on the colleges, universities. Someone like Morgan is trying to engage more with higher education institutions.
Sure.
Give us a quick tip on the business of public speaking.
Sure. So the first things that I would look at when it comes to colleges is they have to justify $1 spent. And what they're not allowed to say when they're going to their president, to their vice president to get approval is, this girl is really good. This guy is phenomenal. What they do have to show is, here are some of the learning objectives. Here are some of the takeaways. Here's the audience that he or she is appropriate for. And here's a list of colleges and universities that he or she has been at. Now they're going to listen. Now they're going to pay attention. And, you have to tailor your message to that audience. Is it an orientation? Is it a stay in school? Is it a testing? Is it a financial literacy? Is it, living in a diverse community? Is it a communication? Whatever it might be, but you have to specialize yourself in something, because a lot of the people tend to jump in, and because they're so desperate for a gig, they'll say, well, we need somebody that does, East Coast Jews versus West Coast Jews. Oh yeah, that's my specialty as a Roman Catholic. Really? And it just shows. That's what I'm saying. That's what I don't want anybody to get into this, because they're so desperate to get a paycheck to say that they can do it all, when they really can't. Stay in your lane, focus on your lane, and make sure that you're the first one driving in that lane, so that everybody else is following you.
Right.
Absolutely. The other part of this, Ernesto, is and Tatiana's got a great comment here. But let me read the comment here. Tatiana's feeling what you're talking about, Ernesto. She's been public speaking on the college level 15 years, and she's got some provocative stuff here. Professors are taught the poverty mentality, that we should do everything for the love of the field. So monetizing our skills is difficult to imagine. Thank you, Tatiana. And Tatiana, maybe one day we'll actually see you. One of the most loyal followers of Race Talk Show. It'd be great for you to join us one day. But you always come up with a lot of great commentary, Tatiana, on the comments. Ernesto, I did want to talk to you, because one of the things about your company at Cool Speak, which I want to make sure we at least touch on briefly, is that you're also you have quite a roster there, and you've gotten to the point where you really have a speakers bureau component to your business. So for those that are looking to recruit other speakers, other talents, be part of their roster, part of their team, any thoughts about it? Because you've got Hollywood, people that have been in A-list Hollywood movies, to former professional wrestlers, to guys from the hood with an incredible story, to to poets and college football stars. I mean, all kind of interesting characters. So a thought about the management of public speakers you'd like to share.
So here's where I'm going to disappoint you, Koyasu. We aren't striving out to be a speakers bureau. However, talent finds talent very often. And there are people that have crossed our paths, or we've crossed their paths, or we bump into them, or they bump into us, or they're referred to us, vice versa. And it fits. And that's what's more important to us, that it fits. Meaning, if I'll give you a simple case in point. If X speaker from CoolSpeak can make $5,000 in a gig, but I need him to go to, some corner in the country and say, they got 500, a Coke, and some tacos, bro. Are you in? Send me. I'm game. Because it's not about the money. And if you're looking to just get money, then don't come knocking on our door, because we're not the place for you to be at. Because you can make money in this business if you're good. But we're here to make a difference in this business while we make some money along the way, which is different.
Awesome. Morgan, what is this as a young motivational speaker, newer to the game? What is this conversation in this episode of Ray's Talk Show with Ernesto meant to you?
Definitely. I mean, it means a lot. I think I love what he's touching on about the passion. I do it because I absolutely love it. It's not, clearly it's not about the money, at all. I think I'm the best, but that's just me. I just think that the way I deliver it, there's literally no person in the world who could ever deliver it like me. And so I know that 100%, but I also know that, it's all hard work and it's all patience and it's all part of the process. I think a lot of people think they're going to go and make this one speech and be the next whoever. And that's completely false. And I think that's completely mistaken. I've had to do multiple videos to even get noticed at the end of the day. Like, it wasn't just one video and someone was like, you're great. Post quotes, interviews over and over again, videos over and over again. So it's really, you have to love it. And I think that's with everything, acting, singing, everything. You have to put in the work. And if you're not willing to put in the work, then you just shouldn't show up. So that's kind of what I got to it. And, I'm looking forward to, for me, 2016 is collaboration. So I believe that's actually the most important thing. Collaborating with people, getting your message across and really putting it out there, helping as many people as possible, because I think that a lot of people get afraid that someone's going to do better than them. I'm just super confident that there really isn't anyone that can. And that you should have that confidence going in. That's how I really see it.
Absolutely. Ernesto, this is meant so much to me, of course, and our Big Brother Ray community. And I really appreciate, for those listening to the podcast, we've had well over a dozen people. Well, 62 people have joined us at some point. And we've had a large amount of people that have stayed for a long period of time. I think the business of public speaking really intrigued a lot of aspiring public speakers and current public speakers. So, Ernesto,
I think we need to do another one with the CEO of CoolSpeak.
Oh, well, there's a whole series there, but absolutely. But no, in April published a book last year, I believe. So I definitely want to have her on here and talk about her book. So Ernesto, let people know again any other thoughts you may have, and remind people about CoolSpeak. And if there's people either listening to this conversation as a podcast or maybe watching us here on Blab, or we'll catch it on YouTube. They may have a student group, may work for a school district. Remind people again the kind of services that CoolSpeak provides.
Well, CoolSpeak's a youth engagement company that strives to help our students, our parents, and our teachers better themselves and make that journey better for everyone to achieve the ultimate goal, which is academic success, which in turn many times results in just overall life success. And, I think my parting words, if you will, is, everybody has their talent and everybody has their niche, but you just need to find it. You need to figure out where you fit in, where your talents fit in, and how you can help. I just recently saw, I think it was the People's Choice Award. Ellen received an award and said, it's funny to be receiving an award for doing something that everybody should be doing, which is just being kind and being helpful to others. And I think that if we really strived to do that for others, others will do the same for us in turn, because we're not selfish, Believe it or not, my philosophy is a little different. I want to find the next person that will do better than me and will excel more than I did and that will achieve more than I did. Because in the process, that means that I will have achieved, and that means that I will have made a difference and helped somebody else out. And you know what? Maybe they won't forget about me and help me along my journey still too, because nobody thinks there's a better, athlete or better, pitcher, better, basketball player, but they come around. They really do. And times change. But I think if we can help one another out, help each other figure out why we're doing what we're doing, because it's a simple question. Why is it that you're a teacher? Why is it that you decided to be a parent? Why is it that you decided to do a podcast, to do a Periscope? Once you ask yourself that and you can figure out, you're going to be all right. You're going to do all right. You're going to make a difference. And that's all we hope that everybody can do.
Well, let me tell you, Morgan, shout out any final words, and shout out your social media platform for sure.
Yeah.
Final words is, I think just finding your gift and going all out with it. And even if it's not even, you're getting paid for it. And even if you're still 9 to 5, I think the biggest thing is, I said this on a scope, is daily small steps towards what you really want to do at the end of the day. Even if you do that 5-minute video or that 5-minute blog or that 500-word blog post, it's going towards the inner goal. And everyone kind of wants to jump the ship and, start going towards a new island, when all you have to do is just start building that small increments for that new ship while you're still on that old ship. So just always remember that there's always small steps to go where you need to go, because people take notice and people want to help you along the way. And, to follow me at the end of the day, it's Morgan J. Ingram on Facebook. That's where the easiest place to connect with me, and at Morgan J. Ingram on all social platforms.
And again, you've been watching, Ernesto, any final words?
No, you know what? I just want to give a shout out to you, brother, for doing your thing and following your passion. I know we've talked about this for a while, and look at you getting all fancy now with your technology and everything, man.
Hey, dog.
And I appreciate you for that. And you know what? Keep pushing, keep striving, because those George Washington, the Colonel Sanders stories, where all those times that it didn't work out, nobody paid attention, but the one time that it did, your home run's around the corner, brother, and I appreciate you for sticking with it and for allowing me an opportunity to join you along this journey, because it's real cool.
Well, no, I appreciate it, and when you get over all those fears and all those anxieties and just say F it, I'm gonna do it, then it takes a lot of the stress behind it away, because it's like you said, a step at a time. I mean, Blab came at a great time, because the frustration with the podcast, right? I love podcasting, and this will be a podcast, but was that you weren't getting that kind of instant feedback. And look at so many of these people, and now some we've met during Blab last few weeks, but Morgan was a week ago, and many of the folks that have provided some great feedback, and look how we helped Yolanda and some of these other people that we were able to connect with. So it's been a great blessing for me, and I know that I'm on the right track. And Ernesto, always enjoyed our friendship, which is the most important thing with our families, and the whole Cool Speak Carlos and the whole Cool Speak family, and always admired you guys, what you do and your business acumen. So again, thank you all so much for joining Ray's Talk Show. Check us out at rayspodcast.com. We super appreciate on the podcast if you gave us a rank or review on iTunes or any of the podcast aggregators, and just check us out at rayspodcast.com and check out all of our wonderful content. This will probably be, we've had well over 200 episodes of Ray's Podcast, and many of them have been blabs already, so you can check out those videos and replays as well. So thank you all so much, and have a wonderful day.
All right, peace.